Sue Smith sitting in for Elias Makos, and we're going to talk about Iran right now because President Trump, as we know, left the G7 early yesterday to G7 to deal with the war between Israel and Iran. On the flight home, he told reporters he was working on something, quote, bigger than a ceasefire. He also warned citizens to evacuate Tehran. In the meantime, the two sides have been exchanging deadly fire. It's the fifth day in a row. Israel officials are urging the U.S. to join their military campaign. And how is all this playing out in Iran? Well, there was an op-ed published yesterday. Several of Iran's most prominent civil society figures called for the resignation of the current leadership. Mandana Javan is a Quebecer of Iranian origin. She's also an activist for La Cité and Muslim Quebecois rights. And she joins me in studio. Good morning.
Good morning, Sue.
So what has been going on through your mind in the last few days?
Yeah, actually, truly, you know that war is anyway heartbreaking. I've been stressed up like many other, I think, Iranians. Yet we know that this was something that was inevitable. Mm-hmm. Israel, we know this bitter truth that Israel is fighting for its very survival, that many, many chances have given to Islamic regime in order to negotiate and to accept something, but they never took those approaches really seriously, because we had some debates in Iranian TV that were all the time mocking of Europeans, of Americans, that they are doing their own stuffs, and Iranians know very well that within 1 year they could have the prepared nuclear bomb. Mm-hmm. It was not today, but within 1 year they had this capacity.
So just to make sure I'm understanding you, are you saying Iranians are supporting what Israel is doing?
Non-Islamist Iranians, which I can confirm you, it's at least 75% of Iranians, because we know that between 20 to 25% of Iranians, they are working in the system, and they are part of the system. But the vast majority of Iranians inside Iran, Iran had many manifestations and rising ups, but the oppression and the violence had been so severe that the civil society couldn't continue anymore. Yes. You know, we had 300 executions of women since Mahsa Amini's revolution, who didn't accept to put hijab anymore, even in the price of losing their lives. Right. Then the oppression is enormous, and we had lots of people like at the last month who stopped working because they cannot go ahead with this system of economy and everything. Mm-hmm. Since many years, since many decades, our national revenue has been just spent for Hezbollah, for Hamas, for these movements, for Houthis, for arming, and people, they are so upset, their life getting so difficult, and we needed for many years. We are calling out Western countries to support Iranian people to get out of this situation. We never had this. That's why they are happy. It's sure that war is difficult. They are blaming Khamenei. They are blaming regime. They are not blaming Israel.
Okay. So let me ask you then about this next stage, which looks like Trump is going to be doing something. You were telling me before the mics went on of some things you were hearing about, because Trump has ordered Tehran to be evacuated, which is huge task. But what are your concerns about that?
Unfortunately, what I see this morning, you know, I was up since 4 o'clock in the morning, and I saw that Trump had ordered the transfer of 80 refueling aircrafts toward Middle East, which hasn't been seen since 80 years. Mm-hmm. Americans never did that. And we know that Americans B-2 aircrafts, who are the only aircrafts that are able to carry those bunker bombs, able to go very profound underground.
Right. So just a little explainer is that most of the munitions and the nuclear facilities have already been bombed by Israel, but the ones that are really important are way underground, and apparently only the Americans have the weaponry.
That's it.
Right.
Exactly.
So you're suggesting they're setting up to do just that.
I think so. And what is traumatizing for me that I'm watching Iranian TV and these people of the regime that they don't believe, they don't take it serious, and they say, this is just psychological war. They will never do that. But in case, because I don't know, people don't know, Tehran sits atop some massive natural gas reservoir that even now we don't have any technology in order to extract these natural gas resources yet. Mm-hmm. And what I'm thrilled as a physicist, because I've studied in those stuffs, that if we have nuclear explosions in 80 meter underground, in 100 meter underground, it will obliterate completely the province of Tehran forever. It will be much worse than Chernobyl. And I don't know, I hope that they know this fact that there are many natural gas reservoir. And I hope that they don't do that. I hope that Khamenei resign and surrender, which is impossible.
I was going to say, that does not sound... That does not sound... So I don't even know if you can answer this, because it sounds on the one hand, you're like, yes, we want them to come in and we want to be liberated from the regime. On the other hand, you've got family and friends in Iran.
Of course.
So how, looking forward, what is your hope?
You know, I see, I've heard Bibi Netanyahu saying many times, sending messages to Iranian people that it's the time to rising up against regime. All this revolution can be just possible if we want a true regime change in Tehran, because it's the capital and this is the center. But what we are seeing since some days is that civilians, anti-Islamist civilians, are going out of Tehran. And the regime called the arbitrary force, Basiji, the force of soldier, like the
National Guard kind of thing?
Almost, but they are arbitrary. It's around 1 million to come to Tehran.
Right.
And they have these instructions that with very, very small signs of rising up, they have to oppress it immediately. Then in this dynamic, I don't see that immediately there can be a revolution in Tehran.
No. It sounds also from people are afraid also to uprise.
Of course. Then when Trump is asking to evacuate Tehran, we cannot expect to have a revolution in Tehran.
9.5 million people or something.
That's it. Mm-hmm. Then we have to some way stop the thing. And the only thing that people from Iran is asking when I talked on phone with them since some days is that please ask Bibi to eliminate Khamenei. I know that Trump is against that. Many Westerns are against that. But we know, and Bibi knows, that this is the head of octopus. And if he's fall down, many things can go ahead after. But for now, it's very difficult to see if a solution and how it's going to go.
Listen, it's really fascinating speaking with you. We're going to have to leave it there, but hopefully you'll come in the next couple of days and we'll continue.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Unfortunately, it looks like we're going to be looking at this conflict for a while.
Yeah. Thank you
so much.
Have a good day.
My guest in studio is Mandana Javan. She's a Quebecer of Iranian origin and, of course, looking at the latest developments between Iran and Israel and so far, not the United States.